All right. Is it working? Everything's working. Amazing. You go away for a month and a half and nothing works. Hello, Alex, the DM. Nice to have you here, friend. Oh, God, Nightbot's kicking off already. We're doing all the things. Hello, everyone. Hello. My name is Fiona. I use she, her pronouns. I am a white woman with very long, blondie brownie hair, which absolutely needs a haircut. I finally booked a haircut appointment next month. Yes. Wearing a Galaxy sort of sweater, hoodie, whatever, and a hat, which I will talk about in a second. And this is Too Long Didn't Read TTRPGs. Oh, I'm also wearing glasses. There you go. I tend not to wear glasses, although they're very dirty just now. Can you tell I'm excited and to be back after a month and a half? As always, I start with these streams and apologies. Yes, I kind of disappeared for the whole of August because I went to Gen Con, which was very lovely, and as quite a few people will know, I got selected as an Ennies judge for this year, which is very exciting. I can't talk too much about it, about the processes or anything like that, because I signed an NDA. But just to let you know, I got it. So thank you, those people who voted for me. It's been an experience so far, that's what I'll say. Neither good or bad. I can't talk about anything until I finish my tenure and then 12 months after it. So get ready for in 2 years' time where I do the YouTuber, I'm going to spill the tea. It will never happen because I can't be bothered with it. But I'm delighted to be a part of something like that because I feel like stuff like the Ennies is kind of important. I know other people's opinions may vary on this, but I actually enjoy reading RPGs, otherwise I wouldn't do a channel like this, and I enjoy finding out more stuff about them. So that happened, and then we had a slew of family commitments, very things I won't go into necessarily, but it just suddenly means I lost all of August, and then suddenly I have a lot of deadlines, and as people will know, I've got a big deadline happening at the end of October. So I've just been fully zoned in on that, and then I was like, God, I really want to get back to doing this. And I'll tell you what the big prompt was to come back to do these streams, and I want to do them more regularly, at least once a week. That's my plan. But the reason is, I got contacted about a week or so ago by somebody else who was clearly going to start their own Too Long Didn't Read kind of streams. Basically, Too Long Didn't Read, D&D, here's what you need to know about D&D, but as a sort of bit to camera. And I was like, oh, and they were like, oh, you got the title already. Oh, well, that's a shame. Well, best of luck and all that sort of thing. And I was like, oh, well, thank you. That's very nice. But they'd also included the channel trailer for their thing. And I watched it, and it was full of AI imagery. Now, again, I won't harp on about it, but I'm not a big fan of AI stuff, as most people in the TTRPG industry won't be. And so I messaged back, and I said, hey, best of luck with everything. Just to let you know, you don't need this imagery or anything like that. Literally talking to camera and showing the book off or the PDF, the zoomed in, that's absolutely fine. AI, more like EU, EI, UI, very good, very good. And it just, I got back a very interesting response, which detailed, it was just really sad, I think. That's why I sort of came to the conclusion in the end. And I talked about it a little bit in my Discord, again, anonymized older person, but this person felt like they were passionate about creating something so much so that they didn't check to see if Too Long Didn't Read was already out there. They've changed the name of the channel, by the way. And again, I'm not going to necessarily push people to do it because I don't want people to harp on this person who, I think they are being, they want to do something positive. And that's the thing, it's all about passion project. This is a passion project. Anything I do is a passion project. But to then be like, yeah, but all my skills are getting taken away by AI. So what's the point? I should just, why try to beat them when you could just join them? And it just felt really sad because I think it's easy to take AI art and put it into things and to use AI. But the thing is, what's stopping you from using AI images? What's stopping you going further, using AI for your scripts, like ChatGPT, AI avatars? We know now. I think it's Worthy. I don't know. There's a big podcast company just now that's using AI to churn out thousands of episodes of podcast, and it's just why stop at so you either do it all or nothing. And right now in the TTRPG industry, AI is obviously, people are very upset about it, and I think until we're able to really hone in on what can it do to help supporters that doesn't damage the environment, doesn't steal from other people, doesn't have unconscious bias, all these things, which I don't think we're able to get rid of, then we shouldn't use it at all. And there's been a lot of stuff. Oh, I mean, the whole last couple of months in general has not been great politically. But yeah, I was not happy with this person using AI, and I felt their response was not great. And I was like, I'm going to get back to my stream. And so this is the thing. I know this stream is what it is, right? Music comes and goes. I'm not very eloquent, and all I do is just filter my own thoughts onto the internet that people may or may not see or may not agree with, but at least it's me. I like it being a bit ropey around the edges. You can see where all the cuts are and all the tears and stuff like that, and I don't mind because it's me learning, and that's why I'm passionate about it. And I hope I get better in doing it, but I don't expect to ever be perfect, and I don't want people to think that of me. And the whole point of doing a stream like this, Too Long Didn't Read, is so that I, Fiona, find out about an RPG and hopefully share some insights with people who are interested in what I do, rather than contribute stuff. Oh, Too Long Didn't Read TTRPGs back. Lots of hand emojis there. Yeah, you've come in at a good time for me to finish my rant on. Yeah, as I said, I'm not a big fan of AI, and that's the thing that's moved me to come back. But yeah, I'm back. I'm going to try and do, as I said, a weekly thing. I think just August in general is always just a bad time for me. I think just summer happens and I like being outside, but we also have family commitments and I had Gen Con. So anyway, we're back now. I want to make this a regular thing. So I'm going to attempt, touch wood, that I'm going to be here every Wednesday for from 11 for an hour and a half. Because it's nice. I like breaking up my day with these sorts of things. Anyway, enough about that. You might be wondering, Fiona, why are you wearing a beanie indoors? Well, here's the thing. Today, friends, we are going to be looking at Don't Rest Your Head. The music changed just as I asked it to. That's very cool. Don't Rest Your Head, which is a sleek, dangerous little game where you and your players are all insomniac protagonists with superpowers, fighting, and using exhaustion and madness to stay alive and awake for just one more night. It is produced by Evil Hat, and it is, I believe, one of Fred Hicks's first games as well. Yeah, I love the unpretentiousness of your take and presentation. Authentic. Thank you. That's exactly what I'm going for, rather than God, she doesn't know what she's doing. Because I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm proud of it. But yes, so that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to Don't Rest Your Head. Let's do the disclaimers. I want to get straight into it, because I've already talked way too much at the top, and I appreciate people just want to be I just want to know what this book is about. So, rule number 1. I am not a game designer. I'd like to be. I've been thinking more and more about it after the time I had away from this, and I have an idea for a solo game. I just need to sit down and do it. I think over Christmas, when I can't do my normal things because everyone's away for Christmas, I'm just going to sit down and write. I have an idea. Appreciate the chatting. Oh, thank you, Alex the DM. I appreciate it too. And so I don't know what goes into creating a game. I talk to lots of game designers and I read a lot of games and I run a lot of games, but writing, getting the stuff in here onto paper and then going bleh, and then people playtesting it and going don't know. It's a process, and I want to respect that. So anything I say, it is a critique, not a criticism. There'll be some games, as we've discovered in Too Long Didn't Read streams, whereby I've gone, I don't like this at all. But that doesn't mean I'm right. And I never think I'm right about these things, by the way. I feel like I have a good idea of what I would like as someone who runs games for content, but also runs games and content, not just visually, but also audially as well. Number 2, I've not been sponsored by Evil Hat or Fred Hicks to do this. Now, I say that, I know I've got this hat on my head. So, one thing I do want to make clear, this is the first time I've ever gone, I should mention this. So Evil Hat Productions has a creator support program, which if you are interested in joining, there's maybe I can find it whilst we're talking about it, is if you create content, if you do reviews or anything like that, you message them and fill out the form. About once a month they check the form and then they add you to the Discord. The Discord is currently quite quiet just now. I've also decided to try and learn how to put together choose your own adventure stuff. Oh, that's awesome, Alex. Yes, been working on solo of my own. Yes, of course, I remember you saying in the Discord. Didn't realise how much harder it is than group games. Yeah, well, exactly, because you're putting a lot of yourself on the paper, and then you wanted someone else to read it. Yeah. Sorry, I was going. So, I've joined the Evil Hat creator support things, and one of the things that they give out is a little merch bag. So I've got the Evil Hat beanie, which this is the merch I'm talking about. RPG designers out there, you're thinking how do we get things on? Pin badges, absolutely. Set of dice, sure. But a hat like this, where it says Evil Hat on it, I mean, obviously it makes sense because I'm now going like, I'm in. Of course I want something that has evil hat on it. I will say I paid for this myself because I was like, I want this hat. But I thought I'd wear it today because I'm a big fan of Evil Hat Productions. I really enjoy the games that we've looked at. I've enjoyed, like Blades in the Dark. What's the other ones off the top of my head? If I go to their website quickly and double check. We've talked about Deathmatch Island we've had on recently. We read it through. Again, thought that was an Agon. And they've done stuff like Apocalypse Keys, Girls by Moonlight, Scum and Villainy, Stewpot. Stewpot was the one. Oh, do I have it to hand? Yes. They had a sale on their website because Stewpot had some extra goals for their Kickstarter, and they had some extra things. But I've got like a little dice, cute little wooden dice with a cup on the 6 and a coin. When am I ever going to use these? I don't know, but I like these. This is good merch. Anyway, what? So that's my sort of. I'm a little bit biased. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I'm a little bit biased about this because I do like Evil Hat Productions stuff, and I've joined their creator program, but I'm not being sponsored to do this. I picked this one to read through because it's been on my list for a long time. And I thought, yeah, let's get back into it with a nice, easy one. Obviously, it's a couple of years old, this one. But yeah, I just wanted to make that clear that I've not been sponsored to do this, but I do have some biases in the sense of, like, I am a part of their program. And I'm wearing their hat. But I was like, this is a great hat, and I want to wear it on stream. Third and final thing, so content warnings and disclaimers in that regard. So, and trigger warnings, that's what I meant to say. So Don't Rest Your Head is a horror game. It's going to do with insomnia, it's going to do with madness and probably mental illness and themes of that sort and tropes probably related to it. It's been some years. I believe it's about 20 years old, this particular game. So, again, with all games like this, we just, treat it as like of its time, in quotation marks. We'll see how it is, but, and I'll try... If stuff comes up, I'll try and like, oh, careful, and say it out loud if you're listening in. But equally, if you're like, oh, this game's not for me, or like, I'm not a big fan of this, I don't want to listen to it, feel free to step away. You are more important than me reading out a book for the internet to hear. But yeah, I'm interested to see what this is about. It's quite a short little game as well, about 88 pages. With all that out of the way, let's move over to the game scene. So yeah, so this is the website. Oh, I've not put it in. Oh, no, don't close anything. Is it a stream if Fiona doesn't have technical difficulties? So the link to it is Nightbot's putting it out wherever you need to do it, so you can look at it at the same time. It's only available digitally, this particular game, and it's for $5 as well. So again, there you go, it says it at the bottom there, 82 pages, so 88 I think is just what I was looking through there. But yeah, I think, like, okay, if you wanted to try something different, perhaps you're not going to lose a lot of money. And like I said, I think it's an early game of Fred Hicks's. So again, maybe all the stuff isn't there. I don't even know. I don't think I've ever seen an actual play come up of it as well. But there we go. So it's all the stuff you can find here. There's some extra bits and pieces which we'll go into, sort of like scenarios and Don't Lose Your Mind. I think it's expansions on that stuff. And you got resources. This is what I do love about the Evil Hat website, is that it could be formatted better, absolutely, but you have resources for extra things here on the page, which I think is pretty good. Everything you need is there, and they've done that for Deathmatch Island and Blades in the Dark. Like Blades in the Dark obviously has its own source reference document website, but yeah. Anyway, enough of all that. Can I see the picture? So that is the. Oh, can't I move it up and down now? Well, there you go. So that is the cover. I'll sort of describe it. It is like a very close-up of somebody's face where they don't have a pupil in their eye. It looks like they've been a bit red. It's like almost as if the saturation's been turned up quite a bit. And so it's like half of the face, and in the corner it says "Don't Rest Your Head" in capitals, and it says "A Game of Insomnia in the Mad City" by Fred Hicks. So that's there. Again, perfectly fine. I think it stands out a little bit because it's sort of in your face. Got the title and the name of the person who wrote it on it. Not a lot of games do that still. So yeah, here we go. We're going to read the copy first. We always read the marketing copy to see, like, what is it that inspires you to buy it, and like where we see it in situ in terms of the context of buying it. So Don't Rest Your Head, as I've said, is a sleek, dangerous little game where you and your players are all insomniac protagonists with superpowers, fighting and using exhaustion and madness to stay alive, and awake for just one more night. So it's an interesting sort of twist, right? Because, having superpowers making you almost like heroes, but it's at the expense of your own body and your own, skill. Also. Hello, Hogan. How are you doing, my friend? How are you doing? Nice to have you here. We've just got started, so it's good to have you in. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because this text is small. Okay, so it says, I believe it's on the back of the book as well. You can't sleep. It started like that for all of us back when we were the garden variety of insomniacs. Maybe you had Maybe you had nightmares. God knows we all do now. Or maybe you just had problems that wouldn't let you sleep. Hell. Maybe you were over-caffeinated. But then something clicked. That was when you took a long walk down the streets of the mad city, stopped being a sleeper, and started being awake. But that click you heard wasn't from some secret world snapping into place. It was the sound of the nightmares flicking off the safety and pointing a gun at your head. They can smell you. The paper boys are closing in, and you better pray you don't become a headline. You're chum in the water, my friend, and it is time you got ready for it. Before the clock chimes 13 again. Now you're one of us. There's just one simple rule left that must dominate your life. Stay awake and don't rest your head. Ooh. How interesting. So yeah, it still says, the copy from the top is there again. And then it says, it features its own system and is contained entirely within one book. So, now this is interesting, isn't it? Like, we have almost like the author or whoever talking to us, and it sounds really interesting, right? We've got this world, like, again, it's that sort of voiceover at the beginning of a film. Really interesting. The Paperboys sound scary. Maybe they're one of these kinds of nightmares. But also having, like, this terminology of sleeper and awake. Like, I know it's very simplistic, perhaps, but I think I kind of get it. It feels a bit, just because I know, Alex, you've been talking about it, the like a bit like cult divinity, right? This idea of another layer on top of what we see, and the idea of nightmares and being awakened in some way. Again, on this page, we have some resources. So we've got a convention scenario, like one, I believe, she says, I'm going to just check it. Oh, is it free? It is free. I know I got it as well. How great. The Bad Man, it's called. So this Bad Man is a convention scenario which is free to get out. It's on TTRPG there. I got it from previous times. There is an actual play called The Walking Eye Podcast. Is that still around? It is still around? Question mark. I don't want to listen to it just now. Yeah, seems to be around. So that's cool. So there is a actual play out there as a little bit. And then we've got these extra things. I think Don't Read This Book is more scenarios, and Don't Lose Your Mind. I don't know what that is. So Tales of the Awakened Insomniacs who walk the periled streets, bringing the power of dream with them at always a terrible cost. Oh, interesting. It's a story. It's like featuring stories. I see. So almost like inspiration. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Within these recovered pages are the tales of the awake insomniacs who walk those perilous streets, bringing a bit of the power of the dream with them to fight back at the night, always at terrible costs. So it's not necessarily, it's just an anthology book. It's not a scenario book. I think that's cool. I like that as well. And here, the Don't Lose Your Mind supplement explores the darkest depths of madness for your game. Supplement explores the darkest depths of madness. Inside, you'll find 26 unique madness talents that push the boundaries of imagination. Okay, so extra things for your character, I'm guessing. I'm guessing that's what the talents are. Interesting. And that too, that's about $10 as well. So you can get... So in total, to get everything, so Don't Rest Your Head, Don't Read This Book, Don't Lose Your Mind, is about $20. And then it's all complete, if you're that sort of completionist person. All right, let's then... We've looked at all the copy. Let's just dive in, shall we? All right. So yeah, as I said, I'm looking at the PDF. It's 82 pages on the PDF, and we're just going to go through it as much as we can. We've got about an hour or so we'll take our time with it, and we'll see what we get. So, get myself hydrated as always. Hopefully the hat will stay on for all of this. And of course it goes into cheery music. Great. Okay. Let's see. So obviously we have the title page, Don't Rest Your Head. Understandably, there's no alt text. It doesn't surprise me. It's quite an old PDF. But it's screen readable is the bit at least. So that's pretty good. That's why I always check for screen readable stuff. We go in a little bit, and then we have this sort of title page, and oh, this is an image. Is it? Oh no, it's not. So we have the title page, which says "Don't Rest Your Head" again, and it just repeats it, but it's almost like in like big block balls, as if it's been like screen printed onto the page. There you go. So 2006 is when it originally came out. Hicks did all the art as well. Photoshop back in the day. That's what you used to do, huh? Valued input as well, a little bit of and playtesters as well. So yeah, so pretty much all Fred Hicks on this point. All right, and then we get to the table of contents. Already, I'm all going like, it's fine. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, I'm looking for some. 14, 15. So 15 subsections essentially. Intro, what is this? What do you need? Running on fumes, creating characters, what the dice are, talents. Rule summary, which is pretty good. I like having one of those. Conflicts, outcomes, and narration. And then what the Mad City is. 5 questions in play. Bringing it all together. Creating new nightmares. Blah, 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 blah. So, okay, we've got a lot. I would say it's a little bit much seeing it all on one page. The table of contents. It looks like also it is hyperlinked as well, which is always really good. So yeah, what we'll do, we'll definitely do the introduction. We won't dive too much into creating characters, although it's only a couple of pages long. We'll have a quick look, perhaps. The main thing I want to look at is the main mechanics. That's always what I find interesting. So I'll have a look at that, and then we'll go as far as we can. I'm not too fussed about going into the setting itself. I know that might be interesting for other people, but we won't do that today. And yeah, we'll have a look at the sources of inspiration as well. All right, let's get started. Ooh. All right, and I will maybe zoom in a little bit. Okay, so. Oh, it's repeating what I've said there, so that's fine. Something clicked. You're chumming the water, my friends. Don't rest your head. So yeah, so it's just repeating the copy that we read on the website, which is fine. I think it's a decent enough copy. Oh, it's got some extra bits here as well. Sorry. And something clicked. That's when you started noticing the extras. An extra door here or there. Oh, gotta love a good spooky door. An extra window looking out onto the city. City packed with surplus buildings, hodgepodge towers standing shoulder to shoulder, roofs angled into one another. Clocks chiming the 13th hour, and unfamiliar stars twinkling in a too clear sky. Streets and alleys that weren't there before, leading to late night markets that sold things like laughter and indecision. Oh, that's such a cool idea. It reminds me of there's that episode in Doctor Who, Gridlocked, where people are trying to leave the place, and there's like food vendors who are selling like memory loss or happiness or like little patches that people can take. So that's what I'm thinking of there. Yeah, and then it just continues on then. Okay, so yeah, a nice little like monologue introduction, which again maybe you would read aloud to your players if you were starting it. I always like that in a game where you have like a nice little page of a monologue to read out and get them on the same page, but also like immersed. Like, oh, so this is, you know, for them to visualize things. A little bit of music in the background, that'd be great. So what is this? So Don't Rest Your Head is a role-playing game or an RPG. One might even call it an expert role-playing game in italics there. If only because the book doesn't spend much time explaining the basis of what such games are. That's interesting. I spoke to someone recently about, because they were writing their version that's coming out in a couple of weeks' time, like for a Kickstarter, And they say one of the biggest challenges they always have is writing what is a role-playing game, but they feel like they have to include it because what if their game was someone's first role-playing game? Whereas here it's like, we're not going to explain what the bases are. Interesting. Well, you say that. I can see the next chapter is like, the next page is like, this is what it is. Or next paragraph even. So it says, familiarity with other RPGs will help this text make sense to you here and there, but nothing should be so opaque that a lack of experience will make it impossible. But here are the basics. You and a few of your friends read this book and get together to play the game it describes. One of your friends takes on the role of the game master, the GM. No fun title for us, that's a shame. Who takes care of bringing the world to life, animating the obstacles and opponents and allies found there. The rest of you each create and play a part of a protagonist character who has become awake in the mad city. Both players and GM push the story forward by suggesting scenes building on the history of the protagonists as the protagonists strive ever closer to their goals. And that's pretty much it. The actual rules that make all that happen and the setting of the mad city are described in much more detail below, and may take some time to wrap your head around. Give yourself that time, create your characters and pay close attention to the questions you've asked. And share your ideas about the game with all the other players, and soon you'll be on your way to telling that kind of creepy dark fairy tale stories that Don't Rest Your Head was made to deliver. So what do we need? So we need, at least, per player, 3 white 6-sided dice signifying discipline. Oh, sorry, 3 white 6-sided dice, yeah. 6 black 6-sided dice signifying exhaustion. Ooh, let me move that music, that's way too cheery. There we go. A little bit too cheery, the 6 black-sided dice signifying exhaustion, and 6 to 8 red 6-sided dice signifying madness, both temporary and permanent. A handful of pocket change, maybe 10 coins each. Pennies works best as ownership is likely to get muddled, signifying coins. And then the GM will need at least 10 to 15 sides of dice of any colour, signifying pain. Good lord. And a handful of pocket change. 2 bowls, 1 light or clear, and 1 dark or cloudy, placed in the centre of the table or in a location that's easily reachable by all. This is the most setup I've seen in a long time for a game, having designated colours for dice. We've had I'm sure there's games with Fiasco's the one I can think of where it's you need good dice and bad dice, but it doesn't matter what the colours are. But here it's white signifies discipline, black signifies exhaustion, red is madness, and then coins, whatever, but then 10 to 15 sides of any colour signifying pain. Interesting. And then we've got an image that's definitely early 2000s Photoshop. I love that getting rid of all the colour. I can't remember what that one's called off the top of my head, but spooky. Okay. So, running on fumes. So this looks like a play example. So, Fred and Lydia have sat down to play a game of Don't Rest Your Head. Lydia's going to grab a handful of pain dice, page 23, and play the GM. Fred's creating a protagonist named Diesel Remick, a failed rock star on the run from loan sharks who's just come home to find his roommate's head turned into a smear of blood on the living room wall. Should we read this through? I think I'm not going to read it through. I know I should do, but I'm sure we'll find out what's happening here. I tend not to read through the play examples, just because I don't learn as well as there. But interesting how it is again like a script. I will say the text is a little dense. If I zoom out, it's a little bit dense, isn't it? Could do with a little bit more sort of just gentle formatting, maybe having people's names in different colours, perhaps. Again, it's a black and white version. There is a printer-friendly version of this, but I think it just gets the cover in black and white, because the rest of us seems in black and white. So it continues on for 3-4 pages. Ooh, and then we've got another image of sorry, I should describe these images because they don't have alt text. It looks like a black and white image of an individual coming down some stairs, holding the stairs, as if in pain and screeching. Seems to be a doorway behind them. I don't know if that's a stairwell or not. Anyway, let's move straight in. So, Creating characters. So all protagonists, player characters, are insomniacs of some sort who have awakened to the mad city and who eventually are stalked by nightmares and other people and creatures from the city. As they awake, they have access to strange powers, ranging from simply being able to do certain things unusually well to performing acts that are flatly impossible. Answering questions. But beyond being awake, protagonists are also very much flawed human people who have problems. These problems lead to too many sleepless nights and thus their current predicament. To take a step back from the strangeness and the nightmares and the mad city, this means that every protagonist brings a set of issues and events to the table that comprises his personal story. Well, we'll change that in the new version, won't we? Let me turn that down a little bit. There we go. Setting aside the basics of surviving, a protagonist's story is about how they explore these issues and questions whether or not they will be able to rise above them and take their life back. To get a grip on their protagonist's personal story and their connection to the setting, players must answer 5 questions beyond the simple basics like, what is your name? The GM will look at these answers from time to time to get a handle on how the protagonists are proceeding in their personal stories, and the players will get a chance to make use of their answers in ways that will guide the development of the game. Here are the questions. Now, isn't that interesting? Having questions that are beyond like a backstory, that these are ones that are prompting you to create the character, but deliberately that they are in for this game. I like that, rather than like, I'm going to play an elf who's an edgelord and they've got this cool rock and they're going to do this. It's like, no, these are the questions that you're going to ask, and that's how we flesh out your characters from here, as well as like your name, pronouns, what you look like, etc. So, what's been keeping you awake? This is the source of your character's insomnia and sets up what the character's immediate history has been like. Think about what troubles him or them. What pressures turned them into an insomniac? Are they running from something? Do they stay awake due to nightmares or substance abuse? Ooh, excuse me. Have they lost someone dear to them and the grief is robbing them of sleep? And why this matters? Oh, this is interesting. This answer connects the character to what all the protagonists in the game have in common. Insomnia. It can drive further development of the character by offering opportunities for flashbacks. If it suggests something that the character is avoiding confronting, the GM may look to that as a source of ideas for what the character should face. Now, isn't that interesting? Saying, this is a question we're going to ask you, and this is why we're asking you what this question is about. I like that. Like, hey, the GM is going to use these to like, I'm going to give you a flashback. I'm going to give you something to it. So I think that's great. The next question is, what just happened to you? This is what happens to the character in their very first scene of the game. It's not in the GM's hands, it's in the player's. Such a moment should always feature a moment of high stress for the character. This may be different from what's keeping the character awake. So think about what would make an exciting, stressful scene. Is the source of the stress mundane or supernatural? Did you just lose your job? Did a monster jump out of your closet? Did you walk in on your partner and another person in bed? Did you fall off a building and land without a scratch? So why does this matter? So the players get to set the tone for the entire game by determining the opening scene for their protagonists. This is a huge power and should be exercised with discretion. The best opening scenes are the ones that say something about the character's ongoing story. They imply a trajectory as much as an event, but so long as the moment of high stress requirement is kept to, all should be well. What a great, cool way. Like, I think we do it quite a lot now in RPGs. We're like, where do we find your character? But like, here it's like, what just happened to you? Like, set up what you want to, what is the inciting incident, Yeah, I really like that. What's on the surface? This determines the first impressions the character gives off and tells us what is obvious about them. Think about what does the protagonist appear to be at first blush, as opposed to what they actually are. How do others see them? What's their physical appearance? What sort of personality do they have? Do they put their best foot forward or their worst? Why it matters? This answer will be a strong guide as to how the world interacts with the protagonist. It will offer ways in which the face they turn to the world can help or hinder them. And then, what lies beneath? This speaks to the protagonist's secrets, the part of themselves that they don't show to the world if they can help it. Think about what the protagonist's real deal, or what's the protagonist's real deal? What would be a surprising twist that plays counterpoint to what's been said about them so far? What secrets would they give their life to protect? How do they see themselves? What lies do they tell themselves? Why this matters. So the answer can complicate the portrait of the character and give them a real three-dimensionality. Dimensionality? Yeah. It plays strongly to the character motivation. In the absence of anything else, this forms what sorts of things might over time be brought to light, or be carefully deliberated, kept in the dark. Interesting. I like how these questions are like very short as well. What's been keeping you awake? What's just happened to you? What's on the surface? What lies beneath? And then finally we have what's your path? And I can see there's an example here at the bottom. So what's your path? This question addresses the character's goals and points to how, in a vacuum, a story about them could reach its conclusion. Where is your protagonist heading? If a story were written about their life, what would its theme be? What are their goals? What do they want or need? Why this matters? This is the ultimate question in a game where the personal journey of the protagonist is just as important as anything else. When the character isn't dodging nightmares or navigating the mad city, this is what their mind is set to achieving. Okay. Simple enough. Nice 5, nice odd number there. Here's an example, which I'm not going to read through. I guess the only thing I'd say, and I assume there may be ones later, but who knows, I'd like some random tables or some suggestions here. You know, we've got those questions which help narrow it down. It'd be nice to have like a random table or like a list of 10 suggestions for each question. But we've got an example here, for example. So set discipline. Discipline is a general reflection of how skilled your protagonist is at pretty much anything they do, as well as a general measure of their degree of self-control. All protagonists start with a discipline score of 3. A score of 3 means your character will always roll 3 discipline dice, see the player dice on page 16, whenever they attempt something. By comparison, normal people, i.e. sleepers, have a discipline of 1 or 2, so a character with 3 is exceptional. I see, maybe it's creating a character as we go along, that's what's happening here, I think. Choose responses is the next thing. So a protagonist starts with 3 response box, which they may divide up between fight or flight. You may even put all 3 with a single response if you dare. The distribution of boxes is first a general indicator of how much your character is angry and aggressive versus fearful and passive. The responses of fight and flight are also important to how the protagonist responds to moments of extreme stress, when the psychological strain of the situation overwhelms them. The responses on a character sheet may help indicate how they behave in such a situation. How these responses function in play will be discussed later on, and then there's another example as we go. Then we have determined talents. The player must choose 1 talent of exhaustion and 1 talent of madness for their character. So an exhaustion talent allows the character to be thoroughly exceptional, supernaturally so, at a particular thing they can already do. So such a talent might allow them to climb seemingly impossible surfaces, run far and fast, perform calculations as fast as a calculator, or simply shoot things very, very well. This definition must be reasonably narrow in the GM's judgment, and on par, in terms of breadth, with the other protagonist's talent picks. Using an exhaustion talent can push the character close to the point of needing sleep. If they do fall asleep, that could be the end of them. Oh, interesting. And then another example, but then we have a madness talent. So, A madness talent allows the character to do something they simply cannot do normally, something which is normally outside the realm of human possibility. This might be something as simple as flying without the aid of any device, reading minds, compelling others to tell the truth, or moving objects with telekinesis. A madness talent may imply several levels of power at which it operates, or may simply lock in or maybe simply lock in at a certain level. Using a madness talent pushes the character towards the brink of insanity. Okay, if they do go insane, they could become a nightmare. Ah, interesting. Okay, I think so far so good. Obviously, you know, insanity, madness, those terminologies, I know they're quite charged, as it were. Emotionally charged and politically charged as well. So maybe you would change that to something else. I don't know what it would be though, like composure, perhaps, or wits, or, you know, that sort of thing. I know it's not the same, but it's that sort of thing where maybe if people weren't comfortable with using those terms, understandably so, you'd use something, you'd call it something else. But so far, I think it's straightforward. Right, the rules for how talents work, as well as some example talents, are discussed further below, starting on page 30. Sure. So, dice. The use of dice is central to resolving conflicts in Don't Rest Your Head. In fact, dice are only rolled when a conflict arises. Conflicts may be between the protagonist and the environment, or between the protagonist and another character. To resolve a conflict, the player states what their character is trying to accomplish, and the GM states the opposite, what opposes that effort. Then both roll the dice. When rolling, the player always rolls all their discipline dice and their current level of exhaustion dice, plus whatever number of madness dice they choose to add to the pool for the roll. Okay, so always your discipline, so at least 3 when you're starting out. Then any exhaustion, and then you can choose optionally to add more dice to the pool for your madness pool. When a player or a GM rolls, how the dice falls indicates both the degree and the strength of the roll. So interesting. Every 6-sided dice that shows a 1, 2, or 3 is counted as one success. The total of all the successes a player or a GM rolls is referred to as the degree. The side that got the highest degree wins the conflict. The outcome favours the winning side, though perhaps not exclusively. If more than one side got the same number of successes, then the protagonist wins. Within a particular pool, i.e. colour of dice, so discipline, exhaustion, madness, or pain, see page 16, the strength is indicated by the highest single showing die. Well, looking at the GM's pain dice, the player's pool with the highest strength is called their greatest strength. Taking the pain dice into account, the pool with the highest strength overall is said to be dominant. I have absolutely no idea what that last paragraph meant. Hang on. So within a particular pool of dice, the strength is indicated by the highest single one showing. Okay. Player's pool with the highest strength is called their greatest strength. More dominant. I see. So it's not about... Yeah, that makes sense. So you have a degree of success, but then the strength. I wonder what that comes into play for. You know what I mean? We have another image of a sultry, sort of femme-presenting person with a cool tattoo on their shoulder. If more than one pool has the same strength, then the number of dice showing that number of the pool breaks ties. If that number is equal, then the ties are broken by the next highest number showing, and so on. So if a pool runs out of dice during this comparison, so i.e. 6-3-2 or versus 6-3, then the pool with more dice dominance. Wait a minute. If one pool runs out of dice during this comparison, then the pool with the more dice dominates. Right. Yes. If all numbers between two pools are equal, then use this guidance. Jeez. Discipline beats madness, madness beats exhaustion, exhaustion beats pain. So that seems like a lot for something that I think is fairly simple and rarely happens, I want to say. When a protagonist succeeds with 1, the results are competent. At 2, it's impressive, and at 3, it's extraordinary. 4 or more results venture into the realm of the fantastic. With 1 success, 2 success, etc. Yeah, so it sounds like you always just need 1 success. The protagonist's success means that the scene continues to develop in a way that favours the goals they stated, though which pool is dominant can end up colouring the results. Ah, okay. We'll get into how the pools of colours result. We'll get into how the pools of colour results as we discuss them below. Wait, we will get into how the pools colour results. Oh, how the pools colour results as we discuss them below. If the protagonist fails, however, by getting fewer successes than the GM, the outcome favours the results that go against the protagonist's goals and may have other game effects which we'll cover later on. So as we've mentioned, the players use three colours of dice. There's a bloody moth in here now, gosh. It's all happening here. So white dice represent discipline, black represent exhaustion, and red represent madness. The different colours may be selected by each player so long as they remain clear on what each colour means. So yeah, as long as you've got, I think even if you just denote them, you can have them in different sizes as well. Or if you're playing online, be like, okay, I'm now going to roll my discipline, and then my exhaustion, and then my madness. But you say that, you set that expectation before you roll. When rolling, a player must roll all at least his When rolling, a player must always roll at least their discipline dice, plus their current exhaustion dice and any permanent madness dice. Any permanent madness dice, okay. I thought madness could be temporary as well. So, discipline. So discipline dice indicate the influence of a character's self-control and skill on the outcome. From one perspective, discipline dice are the only risk-free dice the player uses. And in general, the number of discipline dice remains fixed. The high strength of a result of discipline indicates a skill rules the day, and better that discipline rule than exhaustion or madness, right? So when discipline dominates, regardless of success or failure, the situation remains under control. At least it doesn't spiral into greater chaos, and the use of skill and focus rules the day. This has the game effect of allowing the player to decrease their current exhaustion score by 1 or removing a checkmark from one of their responses. The player is not obligated to make use of this privilege. Sometimes they want to keep their exhaustion right where it is. Okay, so this is where the dominant stuff comes in. Again, maybe I will have to read an example of this, but I just wanted to check because dominant, it said it on this page, didn't it? The pool, the highest strength overall, the highest single showing die. And that's strength, so how? Yeah, okay. So if it's on a discipline die, then this is the case. Okay. Then we have exhaustion. So once per roll, the player may voluntarily choose to increase a character's exhaustion by 1, adding an exhaustion die to their pool. A player may never increase their character's exhaustion beyond 6, since that would indicate a crash, which is on the next page. Adding exhaustion increases the number of dice overall to their total pool, and thus improves their chances of winning conflicts. However, this means that exhaustion may dominate the outcome. Once increased, the exhaustion does not go down on its own, but so the die stays added to the pool. This feels very much like the stress mechanic in Alien. When exhaustion dominates, regardless of success or failure, the situation taxes the protagonist's resources and gives them a moment to confront their insomnia and the crushing need for rest. This has the game effect of increasing the protagonist's exhaustion by 1, even if the player has already voluntarily increased it for the roll. I'm guessing if it dominates then. Alright, but what's crashing though? So, whenever a character's exhaustion score increases beyond 6, they crash. A crash means they are in immediate danger of falling asleep by the end of the scene, if not earlier. Since falling asleep is about the worst thing that can happen to someone who is awake, other dire circumstances can be substituted for falling asleep, such as dying, a much kinder, if more permanent and less interesting way to crash. If you have something else in mind, sort it out with the GM. But when a protagonist crashes, all their response boxes clear out and all their exhaustion dice clear away, their score reduces to 0. They've remained asleep and unresponsive for a number of days. Oh my word, at least 1. When they wake back up, the discipline drops to 1, and they have no access to their talents until they reclaim their insomniac lifestyle by staying awake for at least as long as they slept, at which point the talents and full disciplinary score will come back. But from the moment he falls asleep to the moment they fall asleep to the moment they regain their power, from the moment they fall asleep to the moment they regain their power, they are like a beacon to the nightmares, calling those nearby to their helpless body, and in far too many cases becoming some manner of food or entertainment, or both, soon after. Their only real chance of surviving is in the hands of those who watch over them as they sleep and recover. GMs interested in allowing this to happen but minimizing the amount of downtime for the affected player can resolve this period of dire slumber as a single scene, with only a handful of dice rolls for the character's guardians as they resolve the conflict, keeping the slumbering character alive. Alright, and then another image, a sort of black and white image where the person on the ground, hunched over, like possibly sobbing into their knees. I don't know. Then we have madness. So anytime the player rolls dice for their character, they may choose to add madness to the roll, up to 6. Making use of madness dice, they are putting their character at risk of serious psychological strain, akin to what one might expect out of a perpetually deprived sleep individual. Oh, perpetually sleep deprived individual, not yeah. In essence, madness dice represent how far the protagonist is pushing themselves past their normal limits. Madness dice do not hang around like exhaustion dice do. So they may be used as the player feels that as they're needed without being used again. Say that again. So they may be used as the player feels they are needed without needing to be used again. Whenever a character uses madness dice, they have the option, but not the requirement, to call upon the madness talent to affect the situation in ways that would normally be impossible. See page 32 for more. When madness dominates, regardless of the outcome, the situation places great psychological or emotional strain on the protagonist. Further, circumstances inevitably become more chaotic, and the protagonist may find themselves falling victim to the risks they've taken. This has the game effect of checking off one of the protagonist's responses. The player may choose which of the ones are available that are unchecked, and they may allow them to choose whether the response is fight or flight. If the response is flight, the protagonist must act to the results of the action, regardless of success or failure, with total fear. This may be as simple as running away until they can't run anymore, freezing in a moment of paralytic terror, screaming loud enough to give away their position to someone who might be looking for them. But if the response is fight, they must react to the results of the action, regardless of success or failure, with consuming rage. This can be anywhere from lashing out unthinkingly at a friend and foe alike, frothily throwing themselves at an opponent no matter the odds, or smashing otherwise useful resources into useless bits and pieces. If no response boxes are available to be checked, then the character has hit a breakpoint, a moment of ultimate strain, and they snap. Alright. Snapping. So a character snaps because they have no... Oh, no, they've got another hee-hee there. Hee-hee. They had no responses to check off and was required to check off another. This is a moment of extreme stress, and they are in immediate danger of simply going starkly insane, okay? And by the end of the scene, if not earlier. A character whose stats must spend at least one scene, or the remainder of the current one, acting on their psychotic break. From a player's perspective, this can be a fun time. Yes, if we treat it sensitively and be careful and take care. Pick a particular way to snap and just run with it. Sometimes snapping is temporary and sometimes it is permanent, but either way it erodes the character's discipline. Again, maybe would be rewarded differently nowadays. When a character snaps, their response boxes get all reset, i.e. clear of check marks. Their discipline drops by 1, and they gain a single permanent madness die. The permanent madness die is rolled in addition to any additional that that the player may. Oh, start that sentence again. This permanent madness die is rolled in addition to any the player might temporarily add to his pool. Permanent madness signifies that even if they get better, the player still is a little cracked from the experience. Multiple snaps decrease discipline and increase permanent madness again until the protagonist loses all their discipline. And once the protagonist's discipline drops to 0, their madness transcends their mind and takes root in flesh, and they are transformed into a nightmare. Right, so that's the key thing. The health, so to speak, is you being a nightmare. Is you with your disciplines. Then we have another image of someone looking quite scared. Again, it's that black and white, like, photoshopped filter on it. So then we've got pain dice. Oh, that was me zoomed in way too much there. Apologies. So unlike players, the GM only gets one colour of dice, the colour of pain. The DM's dice represents the different levels of stress that are on her side of the conflict. Interesting how they're putting the GM as with her, she, her pronouns. Of the conflict represents. Try talking your way out of a traffic ticket might only be a minor amount of stress, 1. Whilst trying to get past the dragon that guards the secret basement of the city morgue is quite stressful indeed, 10. Obstacles and opponents are given a particular pain rating, indicating how stressful it is to get into conflict with them. If a protagonist is facing several opponents at once, take the pain rating of the highest one and add another 1 die of pain for each additional opponent. Add 2 if they share the same pain rating as the leader. When determining the level of pain, keep in mind that the best a character can do safely, i.e. just using discipline, is to get 3 successes, so any pain rating above 3 is reasonably significant, and any rating above 6 demands. Due to the average number of successes, more than 3, that character moves into risky territory. What? And any rating above 6 demands. What demands? Due to the number of average successes, more than 3, that character moves into risky territory. I'm not sure about that last paragraph, I'll be honest. The other thing I'd say, because I'm skipping these play examples, but like the only reason we know it's a play example is that it says example and then the text is in italics, and then every so often it goes back to like describing the game without italics. So it would be nice if there was like a box around these play examples. Excuse me. When the GM rolls pain dice in a conflict, she's bringing the potential consequences to bear on the protagonist. At their simplest, pain dice may just provide a number of successes indicating that the opposition, not the protagonist, has won the conflict. But when pain dominates, regardless of the outcome, the situation exacts a price on the protagonist. In this case, in the case of a loss, the loss may well be price enough, depending on how bad the defeat is. But in the case of a victory, the victory must take something out of the victor. To put it simply, when the pain dominates, the pain dominates. Okay. This has a game effect of requiring players to place a coin of despair into the GM's despair coffer. Alright, we're about to look at what these coins are for. So let's talk about in general about helping. So in general, protagonists cannot easily combine their efforts against a single objective. There is some benefit to it, but not a lot. Each protagonist assisting a main protagonist may roll their discipline die as their secondary contribution to the conflict. These dice might add successes to the main protagonist's degree, but do not participate in the determining of strength. Talents do not apply. If it's simply not clear who the main protagonist is, have all involved protagonist's role. The one with the highest number of successes takes on the role of the main protagonist for that role. and uses all of his dice. Everyone else contributes their disciplined successes, but no other pool or talents of strength. But no other pool or talents or strength. Yes, okay. Regardless, everyone who participates in the effort is vulnerable to whatever dominates, which can mean that multiple protagonists could all find themselves checking off responses or gaining exhaustion. Right. Absolutely. So if you're helping out, you can give your discipline. It doesn't count towards the it counts towards the degree of success, but it doesn't take part in the determination of stress. Talents don't apply, and you're at risk of whatever dominates. So you're getting responses or checking off exhaustion. That makes sense to me. Tell you what, I'm going to take my glasses off because they are a bit tight on my head. So. Sorry, that was pretty gross right on camera, so apologies. Or right on mic even. So, failure. When a protagonist fails an action because they've got fewer successes than the GM did, at the very least their goals get turned on their ear while the opposition goals get advanced. But failure has some additional teeth to it that we can explain to you now that we've covered the dice basics. Okay, so in game turns, failure means the GM may inflict a consequence on the protagonist as if they see fit. Leniency is an option and should be exercised on occasion, but by no means mandated. A consequence takes on one of two forms, which may seem familiar to you. So we either increase the character's exhaustion by 1 or check off a response of the GM's choice. Right. The consequences can cause the protagonist to crash if the exhaustion increases beyond 6, or snap if no response boxes are checkable. They also occur in addition to whatever effects arise from exhaustion, madness, or pain dominating, but the GM has one restriction on what they can do. They cannot cause the same effect to occur on the same action. Okay. This means that if a character fails and an exhaustion dominates, the GM cannot inflict a condition that increases the exhaustion by 1 because exhaustion's dominance has already caused that effect. So you can't double up on it. Okay. Similarly, if a character fails and madness dominates, the GM can't check off a second response box as their chosen consequence. They can, however, cause exhaustion to increase by 1 on a madness dominant failure or check off a response on an exhaustion dominant failure. I think now it's getting into the weeds of things, right? Maybe this is where we'd have like a flow chart or a diagram which sort of goes, okay, this has happened, this is what you give because they failed to succeed, all that sort of thing. But yeah, let's look at what are the coins for. So over the course of play, 1 or more coins may be paid into the despair, so the dark coloured bowl, as a result of any roll where pain dominates. Anytime the GM spends a coin of despair, the coin is paid into hope, which is the light coloured bowl, once the current conflict is resolved. Any player may spend hope coins at any time during the game, at which points the coins leave play. So yeah, it doesn't go back and forth. Okay. So despair coins gained when pain dominates are the GM's currency to spend. Whenever the GM spends a coin of despair, they are said to be casting a shadow over the outcome. Ooh. Coins spent in this way are placed into the hope coffer at the end of the conflict after the roll has entirely been resolved. This means that despair coins are converted into hope can't be used immediately to counter the despair's expenditure. On any roll, the GM may spend a coin of despair to add a 6 to any of the pools in play, or to remove a 6 from any of the pools in play. Ooh, interesting. Doing so may change which pools end up dominating, since it will alter the strength of the targeted pool. Interesting. Wait, that's a good point, because successes are 1s, 2s, and 3s, right? But is it about the highest? Yeah, and it's the highest one for the strength. Interesting. Okay. From any of the pools. Okay. we have another image of someone. I think I've seen this image somewhere. Looks like somebody looking off to one side, looking scared, but their mouth is covered by a tape. But the image has been blown out slightly, and in black and white. So in order to be targeted, the pool must have at least one die in it already. This means that unless the player rolls madness dice, the GM can't add a 6 to an otherwise empty pool. Similarly, without exhaustion dice in play, the GM can't toss a 6 into a player's exhaustion pool. If any of these changes from casting a shadow cause pain to dominate, it is the usual effect of paying a dice into the despair's... its usual effect of paying a coin into the GM's despairs coffer is suspended. In other words, the GM may not spend a coin in order to gain a coin. There's no zero-sum games here. Then we have hope. So hope coins gained when the GM spends despair are the player's currency to spend. Hope represents the character's all too seldom chance to get a breather and reel themselves back from whatever the precipice of the moments happen to be. When a player spends hope coin, it's called shedding light. Hope is spent in this way. Hope is spent in one of several ways. Whenever hope is used, coin leaves play. Yeah, but what does it do? Getting a break. So a player may spend a coin from the hope coffer to reduce their current exhaustion by 1, or to remove a check mark from one of their fight or flight responses. They may do this whenever they're not actively embroiled in a conflict. It might be a short moment where they gain a second wind, or some actual lengthy downtime. The GM has the right to say whether or not it is an appropriate time for the character to go get a break, but it should show some mercy whenever possible. Then we have restoring discipline. So a character who has lost discipline to permanent madness may render the madness a little less permanent by spending hope. A permanent madness die may be removed and replaced by discipline. This can only be done if the character managed to achieve at least several hours of calm reflection. Each time this is done, the cost in hope coin is equal to 5 minutes of the character's current discipline level. Each time this is done, it's equal to 5 minutes. Equal to 5 minus the current discipline level. Interesting. So if you had 3. If you had 2, sorry. I spent a hope. It would take 5 coin. 3 coin, because you're taking 2. Right, so that is, so, yeah. Is there a cap on discipline? Because surely you get 5, if you wanted to get like 1 more after 5, I assume there must be a cap on it. Alright, let's look at improving successes. So on any roll, any player may spend 1 or more coins of hope before the results are narrated. Doing so adds a 1 to the main protagonist's discipline pool, increasing their number of successes by 1. Okay, so these are the 3 things. Sorry, I've realised now. So hope is that you get a break, restore discipline, or you improve your success. Alright, now we're getting on to talents. Okay, God, there's a lot to this, isn't there? Talents allow a character to stretch beyond the normal. In another setting, they might look like superpowers fit for folks in bright costumes and heroic ideals, but in the Mad City amongst the awake, talents are simply on par for the part of the course, and inextricably linked to exhaustion and madness. Most all of those who are truly awake have talents and will use them in times of trouble, but there's always a price, and never ever done casually. The misuse of a talent can send you into perilous slumber or inescapable insanity. So here we have talents of exhaustion. So exhaustion talents form exclusively on something that the character can already do, but they make them supernaturally better at it. What the thing is that gets this boost is, at its root, is pretty mundane. Shoot a gun, run fast, jump far, add numbers, read books. But the character taps that one particular thing that they have a talent for, their performance is simply off the charts. Talents of exhaustion have a minor and major function, both of which require the character to operate on some level of exhaustion. The player may opt to increase the character's exhaustion level by 1 per scene, and thus, if he hasn't yet, may do so immediately prior to using the talent. So yes, you're required to add exhaustion as an expenditure for it. Okay, just looking at what else we've got. So we're about 10 minutes past, so... How are we feeling? What are we thinking, guys? Is this something that's interesting? I'm struggling a little bit now because it feels very wordy. And admittedly, I'm not looking at the examples, but yeah, I think I've got the idea. The pool stuff's interesting. So, minor use, minimum success. The truly awake are supreme masters of their area of expertise when at their most exhausted. Minor uses of exhaustion talents are why. When using an exhaustion talent for a minor gain, the character will never get fewer successes than their current number of exhaustion dice. In short, the minor use sets the minimum number of successes generated by the talent. Thus, if a character has 2 exhaustion dice but only rolls a degree of 0 or 1, then his degree of success is automatically considered to be 2. Right, so it's like an expertise thing. Okay. The effect of a minor use gets particularly potent at 3 or more exhaustion dice when the character is regularly able to perform tasks at peak human capacity and beyond without any trouble at all. Then we have major use, which is additional success. So when using exhaustion talent it's got talent there again. Don't you see that? I don't know, this was my version that I downloaded a long time ago, so I don't know if it's changed since then on the Drive-Thru RPG or something. When using an exhaustion talent for major gain, the character increases the degree of successes by the number of exhaustion dice they have, in addition to rolling those dice. Major uses of the talent requires that the player voluntarily increases their character exhaustion by 1 as part of the roll. The character increases the degree of success by the number of exhaustion dice they have, in addition to rolling these dice. Okay, yeah, that vaguely makes sense. Creating exhaustion talents. The key to creating exhaustion talents is to think about things anyone could do, even if those things happen to be very hard to do well. Such talents should really be rooted in the mundane, so there's often a straight line connecting these sorts of things the characters did before they were awake and their exhaustion talent. With an exhaustion talent, so long as the character has taken some exhaustion onto themselves, their performance is consistently excellent and at high levels of exhaustion crosses beyond the simple perfection into the preternatural excellence. And then we've got some examples ones here. We've got athletic, convincing, eyesight, gunfight, intimidation. So those are just some examples. Interesting. And we've got talents here. So madness talents are the completement of exhaustion talents. Instead of enhancing what a character can do already as a human, a madness talent simply allows the character to do something that they should not be able to do. Our default assumption here is that a madness talent confers something that fits a supernatural or psychic sort of theme, but something that looks a little like a overt superpower would be fine as well, such as take no damage from bullets. Whenever a character uses a madness talent, their roll must include at least 1 of their madness die to do it. The number of dice a madness dice put into the effort indicates how far they can go with the effects, and brackets GM's call. But the dice must be rolled, and some must at least face pain dice representing the difficulty of what's been done. So 1 being almost trivially easy, and 3 being standard, etc. So for example, if a character has a madness talent for reading minds, using 1 madness die might be appropriate if they want to peek at surface faults, whilst 3 dice would be necessary to try a much deeper look, and 5 dice would probably let him poke around in the subconscious, I think it's just meant subconscious, of his target, and find out that even the target didn't know what they knew. In play, this is usually simply handled by the players saying they want to use a madness talent, and the GM putting a price of madness dice on the roll. The price should be set accordingly to the complexity, depth, potency, or subtlety of the effort, and to some extent may also indicate what level of pain dice the GM should bring in opposition. Depending on how a talent is defined, this price may always work on a sliding scale, and the potency may seem to be constant, always requiring a certain number of madness dice when used. Okay, it's kind of lost me a little bit here. Like, I know the talents. We've got the madness talent, and we've got this exhaustion talent. Ugh, God. I just needs to going over something. I'm sure, again, it's obvious in play, and I'm sure the play examples actually tell it through, but that is, like, let's look at this, like, boom, look at that block text there. Nothing's breaking it up. There's little imagery that breaks it up. We have full-on art that breaks it up. If I go, like here, it's like full-page art, but then this is so dense. And I think I missed the layout. It would be just nice, a little bit more of a layout. Just have another look over these things, because I'm not sure I understood that at all. And I know you could just read the example and it'd be really obvious perhaps, but not necessarily. Okay. And then we've got creating madness talents. So some madness talents ideas may seem like exhaustion talents, and this is okay. The key to remember is that with a madness talent, the thing the character can do crosses over into being overtly supernatural. Consider the preparedness example. Consider the preparedness example below. As an exhaustion talent, preparedness would simply be a case of putting together solid plans in advance and staying alert to when things start to go all pear-shaped. But a madness talent, it starts to cross over into molding reality, retroactively having prepared for something that the character just encountered. Remember, madness talents are madness talents because they do the impossible. They break the rules. What they do doesn't make sense. They can't be done, but the awake can do them. And then we've got some examples here, such as hypochondria, perfect insight, preparedness, stone flesh, and teleportation. Some examples there. And then we have our rule summary, which is good to have. I think at this point I'm just like going, oof, but it's just one page? Oh, nice. So once per roll, you may increase your exhaustion by 1. Anytime you roll, you may add between 1 to 6 temporary dice to your roll. To determine the degree of success, count the dice that shows 1, 2, and 3. Actually, it hasn't said like your roll is discipline plus exhaustion plus temporary plus madness dice if you'd like to do it. They should say that up here somewhere. To determine to determine the degree of success, that's 1, 2, 3. The strength, find the die of that color. To find the strength of a pool, find the die of that color. I should actually zoom in a little bit, right? Sorry. What? Oh, too big. Find the die of that color showing the highest number. Okay. Very dicey, which isn't bad. Atmospherically a little bland, hard to reconcile together. Yeah, I think it's obviously because it's very separate to the setting, which would come later, which we're not, and I've already said we're not looking at. I like that the setting would be interesting, but I think, again, and maybe it's that sort of thing. Oh, we've got the fun music back. I wonder if it would have been, I mean, maybe I should have read the examples, perhaps. I think it's missing, you know what? I think it's missing artwork. I think it's missing that, like, because currently what we have, and again, I don't wish to diss or punch down or criticize the artwork, but it is just, I've taken these images of iStock and I've put them into Photoshop and I've just done a thing, which has done the purpose of it. But actually, it would be really cool to see, I like buildings or the atmosphere or the environment rather than just people looking tired. Like, what are the enemies? What's the bad thing that have these nightmares? Like, there's not been like a little flavoursome description of something. Maybe there has been, and I've not looked at it in the example, for example. So if you meet or beat the GM's degree, so the number of successes, you succeed. Otherwise, you fail. To determine what dominates, you pick the pool with the highest strength. If discipline dominates, things stay under control. You have the option to remove a response checkmark or decrease your exhaustion by 1. If exhaustion dominates, your resources are taxed. Increase the exhaustion by 1. If madness dominates, things get more chaotic. Check off a response and behave accordingly. If pain dominates, you pay a greater price. Pay a coin into the despair coffer. So, okay, so you could succeed, but it's different ways. So there's the strength defines. I think that's cool because then it's like a flavouring of that, and it just means that if you fail, you still might be able to flavour the outcome a little bit as well. It seems to take itself serious, but with the mechanics, I get more game dominance, so it seems like it should be more colourful and have some pre-gens that lean towards the discipline classes. Yeah, because again, from the quick look I had earlier, and maybe I'll show you, it just has a character sheet. It's not like playbooks. And with those questions we had earlier, those 5 questions, it indicates to me like a way to be like, oh, I can really like customize this. But it'd be interesting if they've got more madness talents and exhaustion talents, because they had the extra book that did that. There was like 20 other ones. So maybe it's just superpowers. I don't know. But so far I get it. But again, this summary has still not said what the main thing is record. So if your exhaustion is increased above 6, you crash. If you must check out a responsive card, you snap. You crash, you fall asleep or face some other serious defeat like death. You snap, you go mad for a time, clear out your responses, lose 1 discipline, and gain 1 permanent madness. You lose all discipline, you become a nightmare. You're an NPC now. To make minor use of an exhaustion talent, your exhaustion must be at least a 1. On an effective roll, your minimum number of successes is equal to your current level of exhaustion. Okay. If you make a major use of an exhaustion talent, you must increase your exhaustion by 1, and you may add your current exhaustion level to the roll as successes. That's that. To make use of a madness talent, you must add 1 to 6 temporary madness dice to the roll, as determined by the GM for the potency of the effect. Again, it would maybe be nice if we had separate boxes and it said like main rules, exhaustion, dominate. Maybe have like a glossary. Maybe again, just to repeat that stuff back. Oh, there's happy music. Very dreamlike, isn't it? A GM may spend a coin of despair to add or remove a 6 from any pool in play. So just fiddling around with the strength, essentially. The coin pays into hope. And if this causes pain to dominate, no coin is paid into the despair coffer. Sure. If any player may spend 1 coin of hope to remove 1 exhaustion, or to remove a check mark from a fight or flight, or to add 1 to the protagonist's display pool, so to another success. Any player may spend 5 minus discipline in coins of hope to recover 1 point of discipline and remove another point of permanent madness. Yeah, it feels very game mechanic-y, like the moving parts, but like how, yeah, doesn't sound fun, if I'm honest. Like it like I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna, yeah, I like the idea of the different pools and the strength of things. But then it goes, okay, and now there's this mechanic. Again, I think what would help here is a flowchart to show it out and just have that as a player reference so that they know. And then you're getting away from like, okay, now I've got this, and okay, I'm gonna put this in, like, because obviously what we want people to do realistically is to get away from rules and be like, I'm going to describe how this happens, or because like I said, I like the flavouring of like which pool dominates, but yeah, could have a bit more. And then we've got conflicts, outcomes, and stuff. Well, we're 25 past. I think we will. This is almost like GM stuff, isn't it? So I'll tell you what. Again, I think we got as far as I wanted to get today. I just wanted to show only roll 1 significant. Yes, these are all the like GM sort of rules. Scene framing. We don't need to go into too much of that. And flashbacks. Interesting. Again, it's interesting, but maybe again we would have had more fun looking at the setting of the Mad City, perhaps. But we didn't have time to do that today. I wanted to show the character sheet. Sorry, I'm zipping through things. Ooh. Where's that character sheet? That is the... Oh, interesting. There we go. So character sheets, we can go there. So yeah, this is a character sheet. It's just... Oh, maybe I'll zoom out a little bit more. It is just like 2 pages of writing stuff. And it feels simplistic, perhaps. I'm sure this is a way we could put this into 1 sheet. Maybe landscape mode. And yes, fight or flight. Yeah. It's okay. It's just a bit simplistic. I think we could have more to it. Maybe even have this all on like a. Because what if this stuff changes? Perhaps I don't know. Like, what if the 5 questions change? Or you want to change them in some way? And then scars. I presume that's something we might have missed it. If you are brought back, you get something else, perhaps. So there you go. Join the fights. Dresden Files. Oh, look, we've got adverts for the end of the book. Very good, very good. All right, let's call it there, friends. Sorry, I appreciate I didn't go through the rest of it, but I was like, we've done an hour and a half. I think we've got a good sense of it. So let's talk about it. What did we think? I kind of said it at the end of there. I think intriguing. Would I play this? Do I want to know more about it? I'd be curious to see what the setting says. I like the questions. 5 questions, I think, is a really cool way because we've got a very specific scenario. How are we going to set this up? Maybe I would check out that convention scenario. Maybe that's got some pre-genned, like, set characters, like questions into it. I think I like the idea of the pool stuff, flavouring the outcome. The degree of success, that's the first thing, and then be like, what's the strength of it? I think there are better ways of putting it, though, now. I think there's a way to describe these things and put it in terms. And I think that's just because this book, as I said, is like 20 years since it's been published, so it will naturally feel a bit dated in places. The language it uses about insanity and madness, stuff like that, again, it's the same thing we'd have at any book that talks about it, right? I think Call of Cthulhu does this quite a bit. I actually read recently Making Enemies by Keith Mann, which is coming out next month. I read it for an interview that I did with him, and he interviewed someone in that, and they have a quick chat about like madness and like saying, you call it whatever you want. It's, they say it's not punching down, but as long as you can call it whatever you want, as long as the mechanic is true. And I think that's fair. Whether or not I agree with that, it's different. I think there was the one thing it talked about was like insanity, like role playing, this sort of thing, and I was like, again, as always with this, there's no safety tools. There was no X card. That would obviously be happening if you did a reprint of this. I think as a solid idea, but I think, I'd have to read the setting, and I didn't get a chance to do it today, and I did find the layout quite hard to penetrate. It did feel very block text. There was some typos still, extra words in. I feel like I know what they tried to do, where they're like, we'll put the he, him pronouns for the player character, but the GM is she, her. Fine. I always just do they for everyone, or use the titles, because I think it's almost obvious that you're over trying to address these things. Again, that's just my view on that sort of stuff. So I think that's what I would change going forward. If I was doing another edition of this, I would definitely change those wording around it. Which again, it's such a simple change, really. Have another go through the copy edit, and maybe have a look at adding illustrations, a little bits of artwork in the thing. Maybe I'd actually check out that Don't Read This Book, because that will obviously have inspiration. Maybe that's the thing, right? Because we've not checked the setting. I don't know what the plot hooks are or anything like that, if there's adventures in this, but maybe there's scenarios that I could use that and experiment. So I always find it curious when people write like fiction stories from RPGs, because obviously it is just only one step away. You're writing about your characters or your experiences. But I don't know. Again, I always wonder if that's something I would like to look at as a person. I put out my stories and stuff as podcast content, but I don't expect people to listen to it. I just think it's a different way of doing it. So there you go. That's Don't Rest Your Head. It's $5 on the Evil Hat website. Obviously, you can get it pretty much anywhere. I think Itch would be the one. Fred Hicks' Itch, obviously. Drive-Thru RPG. Obviously, both of those places are not great places right now, and probably still aren't good places. But always, if possible, try and go to the actual website to support the creators on that. And I'd be curious. If anyone does play it, let me know what you think of it, because I think it's one of those games. Again, as always, I have to play it to understand what's going on and really get to it. But friends, let me go back to Big Fiona Cam. Oh, hello. Thank you so much for this very gentle welcome back to streaming for me, the Too Long Didn't Read streams. Let me do all the plugs and shout outs and all streaming. So, I do, first thing, what am I rolling? A twice monthly RPG one-shot podcast where we do lots of different game systems and interviews with game designers. We are in the middle of me putting out Worldwide Wrestling, which was on the One Shot Podcast Patreon. Please go check that out because I don't think anyone listened to it when it's on the Patreon. So I took it back and I put it on my show because I took a lot of work onto it and I thought it was really good. On top of that, I also do the DM's Book Club, which is a weekly D&D kind of book club podcast where we talk about some Dungeons & Dragons sometimes, but mostly other games, and not interview game design, and you know, what we like about it and what, if anything, we can improve about it. I think it's just come out. I've played through Hamilton, my co-host, my regular co-host's Omen of the Blood God. He ran me through that, which was a lot of fun. And it was just nice to play a game that someone has actually made, an actual game designer, you know. You won't mind me saying that. I'm also many things. RP Geeks. Is that going to work? Yeah, I'm 1/3 of the RP Geeks, which is a nerdy TTRPG show of epic stories and fascinating facts. We have started our new AP series called Mythic, which is a D&D meets Greek mythology series. Last night, that's all out on the YouTube. Well, all out. The first episode streamed last night. It's on YouTube, so please go check it out. We'll be doing that for the next 5 weeks. And also we do Blood on the Clock Tower, so go check out Blood on the Clock Tower if that floats your boat as well. I'm on that sometimes as well. The other thing I've mentioned, which I've not set up a command for, is that my next podcast, my newest sort of like upcoming project, is called Last Line Rewind, which is a horror anthology podcast which features different RPG systems. Think American Horror Story, think VHS, all those good things. That is what's coming up. Hopefully this fall. I'm not going to put a date on it because I have to edit it. Although the first episode I have sound designed. It was, let me tell you, sound design, terrifying, especially when you're learning a new system. It's challenging. So those people who are out there who do sound design, my God, hats off to you, incredible. But yeah, Last Time Rewind, wherever good podcasts are, and there'll be a Patreon, there's all that sort of stuff. I'm not gonna. Once it's comes out, then I'll probably start promoting it a lot more because I am so worried that it's not going to come out now. But I thought I'd mention it because I like horror. Everyone knows I like that. I know it's been posted already, but just in case, I do have a Ko-Fi link. I don't really do much on it. I need to get back into doing things properly. But if you've enjoyed this and you'd like to see me do more of it, please consider donating, even if it's just a small thing. It will go on a burrito because I love my burritos, or it will go towards buying an RPG for me to look at. It all just goes back into the channel really because I'm currently not working. I'm just trying to be as creative as I can in a world that is full of horrors and terrors. So there's that. Next week, I've already got it up. She says, let me see where it is. That was Don't Rest Your Head was today. I know that was the other events I got. Next week is the other game, the other Too Long Didn't Read I've rescheduled, which is Doom Song. Hilariously, I know Doom Spiral has come out on Kickstarter today, funding it. It's already funded. I was like, oh, maybe I should do that, but I've got to get through all these ones first. So Doom Song is the other one that I'm going to look at. But then we've got a whole month or so of RPGs I'm going to look at, which have become from the last Ennies list that have done really well. So we've got Memento Mori, we've got Wilder Feast, we've got Cosmere, the RPG. Well, that's technically not on the Ennies, but I need to have a look at the quick start for that. Into the Odd, I plan to look at because that's another one I've rescheduled. And then let's go to Rumio as well. So those are the ones there. But if you're like, Fiona, why don't you look at this one? This one looks really fun. Or I've got an RPG that I want someone to look at. Join the join the What Am I Rolling and the DM's Discord. We're a bunch of lovely people there. Just chat about stuff and talk about our games and whatnot. So that's all there as well. And that's all Nightbot has done. Amazing. Thank you, friends, so much. And yeah, as I said, probably going to go and try this every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. BST or currently, and your local time zones may change. Thank you guys so much. I very much appreciate your time. We'll be back next week. And I'm sure there's something else I've forgotten. I don't know what it is. Oh, go check out the Between on the Bad Spot. A cool actual play that I helped produce. I sometimes do the spin-off chat show, the talkbacks for it, which are really good fun. There may be more stuff on the Bat Spot I'm doing soon. So yeah, go check that out. All right, much love, my friends. Keep safe. I know the world right now is not great, but we're back next week to talk about Doom Spiral. Doom Spiral? No, Doom Song. Oh my god. I'm gonna go have some food. Much love, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, you know what? I could just end the stream. That might be easier. I'll just do that.